We didn't talk about the way Justina Ireland writes women, but like I thought they all came to life in a way that I haven't seen female characters in this book act in quite a while. So I thought he added a lot there too. I thought a strong debut. If the rotating team after Eight Deaths of Spider-Man, we know JR is coming back. That's been said to us. We know Ed is coming back. Is Mark Buckingham coming on? I don't know, but if it's Melkinov, Ed, and JR, that's a pretty tight construction of artists.
Oh, for sure, definitely. What did you think about the supporting cast in this issue, Dan? I mean, we had a lot of moments with the characters that I don't feel like we have been getting the past two issues. I mean, really in a while on this book. I mean, even kind of preceding this kind of transition to the Joe Kelly arc here. What did you think of some of the moments we got here?
Okay, I think the moments in this comic are great, but the thing I like even more is the consistency that we're seeing these characters, right? It's not just like the Wells run where we saw Aunt May in issue 1 and issue 60 and maybe a smattering in between. These are consistent characters. Like maybe Aunt May didn't show up on the page in the previous issue, but she was mentioned as being a part of Peter's life. And here we get the follow-up to that. Same goes with Shay and Black Cat. These are supporting characters, not strangers. They are a part of this book, and they are integral to the plot in some way, right? And here they mostly operate as people to either test or support Peter in some way or both. And I thought all of these scenes were strong. Maybe the Aunt May one the least.
Right.
Because, again, what do you do with that character? And maybe they're doing something. Well, maybe we'll find out, But it was 3 scenes with 3 female characters, and they were all handled great and, amazing to bring on a female writer and see her handle each of these. So let's start with Shay, because she kind of starts the book off with Peter, out looking at photos with Randy. This is a character that we were like, does she continue after the Wells run? Do they stick with this person? Can she find a way to distinguish herself beyond any of the other love interests? What do you think of Shay as a developing character and her kind of personification here, or characterization here?
There has not been an appearance yet by Shay that I have not liked her. I think that there is a lot of potential and promise there. With that said, I think, 10, 15 years ago, you could have said the same about Carly Cooper. And we know how that ended. I do feel the shadow of the inevitability of Mary Jane always kind of casts a weird thing over Shay. With that said, I would love to see them actually do this for real. You know what I mean? I'm just what you're doing is great, so keep doing it, but do something with it where it actually has value. Because I think we're still in the phase. I mean, even Peter himself is kind of, and I don't think it's meta commentary. I just think it's just how the stories are being written. I mean, Peter is just kind of well, yeah, I'll do this, but I'll end up bailing or whatever because things are going to happen. There is this. I feel like there is this attitude within the book with Shay that yes, we're kind of an item, but we don't want to define it, and we don't want anyone to get too attached. And it's okay, well, that's not great. so just push it, let's have this be real and have it be in a way that, we're not pining for MJ or thinking about Felicia or anything else. You know what I mean? So I want to see them push this further, I think is where I'm at with Shay.
Yeah, I mean, there's interesting things going on here. Peter acknowledges that he can't tell her about Spider-Man, and the problem that creates. And it just so happens that like him suffering Spider-Man stuff corresponds with him suffering a job loss, and so
Right.
Shay thinks she's talking to him about that, but really she's talking to him about being Spider-Man, and it is different than Carly Cooper in this way. Like, Peter's attraction to Carly Cooper was that they are like the same person.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they like the same things. They're both science nerds. They're both involved in like crime solving in some way. With Shay, it's not necessarily a mutual interest, although I know she works with villains at Ravencroft. But like, the choice with her is to really lean into like her helping Peter be mentally healthy.
Yeah.
Or like finding joy in the moment to moment of his life, whether it be on their date from the Wells run in issue 55 or here where she takes him out for a picnic. And, whether it's meta commentary or not, like, I want the book to do the same.
Yeah.
Like, find the joy in spending time with Peter Parker, because that's what, like, honestly, I think most of us read the book for that over reading about him fighting supervillains.
Yeah.
Like, that's the cherry on top, and so, like, if this is the book being meta about itself and saying we need to get back to this, then great. If it's just going through the paces and doing that because that's the right thing to do, then that's great too. I'll take it whatever way I can, And if Shay is the antidote, then like, so be it. Like, I am more invested in this relationship with Shay than I even was with the MJ relationship in the Spencer run, because who was that character and who was that Peter? We never spent time with them.
Right.
So I really am enjoying this, and I like the Ravencroft stuff kind of coming back in. I hope there's a way to like build some stories around that, like we did back in the Wells run. I think it's a great opportunity to kind of build from there and see where this goes. So, but you're right. There is the specter of Mary Jane or whatever. And Peter even says, like you said in this issue, like, whatever we are.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, I thought that was solved. I thought they were dating,
for
but,
sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we talked a little bit about Aunt May. I mean, like, I love May, but like, they really do need to figure out what else they can do with this relationship. I don't think this comic really addresses it. I do appreciate that, like, I feel like over the last few months we've had several attempts to like be like, Peter and Aunt May, yeah, this is important, we need to focus on it, but like, it's not saying anything new.
Yeah,
I don't know. I hate to be so futile about it, but it's just like, figure something out to push these characters forward. Otherwise, I don't know what we're doing here anymore.
Yeah. I agree with that completely. I thought it had a nice emotional transition into the Black Cat stuff.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about. And I liked seeing Peter challenged by Aunt May, even if it is kind of counter to how the Wells run ended, where Aunt May's like, literally the ending of that run was her being like, I understand that you have other things going on in your life. And here she's like, nope.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore. Let's talk about the Black Cat scene, because this is one of my favorites, if not my favorite scene in the book.
Yeah, I mean...
What do you think about it?
It's, it was incredibly platonic, and I appreciated it for that. It kind of... And I don't think this was necessarily the objective of it, but personally speaking, like, obviously I was thinking about their relationship of, a year or so ago, or 2 years ago at this point, and I was just kind of like, why did we bring them back together again? You know what I mean? Like, I wish we didn't. Like, I know that we were trying to like soften the blow of Peter and MJ not being together, and like, I think for a certain segment of the fan base, if they can't have Peter and Mary Jane, like, having Peter and Black Cat is pretty close. You know what I mean? If not, it doesn't solve all the ills, but it's better. And I never really liked that either. So like, I just like that we're in a spot where they're trying to reconnect and be friends and be platonic friends, and like there was nothing flirty about this. Like I even loved the punchline of like, you know, like she shows up with the tiara, no, it's a crown, whatever, and then, you know, like we kind of end, and he's like, well, you know, I still have I have your tiara, like, you know, like it was a very strong scene. It was probably the strongest scene we've had between these two characters since Nick Spencer reunited them in the first place. So, you know, like it was good. I just wish that we hadn't, you know, I know we can't rewrite the past here, Dan, but like there was a part of me that was just like, why did we have to bring them back like romantically together? Because like I would have liked to have this scene without some of that romantic complications that I felt weren't necessary being kind of injected into it, I guess.
I agree with all of that, and just to iterate again, like I loved what Nick Spencer did with this character. Probably my favorite retcon that he did in his run, which was making like her into like a fixed character again. And this, in contrast, even to the past two issues, where like I felt like Joe Kelly wrote her like a teen crush, you know, and Wells did too. Like even if I ultimately liked the end of their relationship, where it was kind of about how Peter was just kind of going through the motions of moving on, but not really moving on, and Felicia could tell, which I always felt like was a kind of get out of jail free card, you know, like I don't think that was where he intended to go with it, and needed to find something to do with a thing that wasn't working. But this felt like two adults talking about their relationship with each other. And I think, you know, I don't want to be, you can call me sexist about this, but like this felt like, oh, this is the hand of a woman writing this book, you know, like it was so thoughtful and the characters felt so alive. I liked that it paid off the MJ and Black Cat mini, which I didn't like very much, but there was a relationship established there. And so this brings that in and says, well, I went through a painful thing and I'm single again. But like I could, like if Joe Kelly was writing the scene or Zeb Wells was writing the scene, I could just imagine her being like, yeah, I'm single again, and them putting in a panel of Peter like looking in an awkward way at her. And it's like, God, thank God we didn't get that. I am so grateful that someone didn't write them that way. And it's all the better and funnier and richer for it. And I want to read more of these two together, just not making out.
There you go.